Hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by tonight. Tonight we are doing a video for Capricorns. This is for Capricorns starting today, which is May 31st. I'm not sure how long this will actually go for each of you. Generally, what I'm looking at is a life cycle. So generally, these last about 30 days, depending how quickly you work through the lesson or experience of the life cycle. For some of you, you may be at the very beginning of this life cycle. For others of you, you may be more towards the end. So it's really hard to pinpoint exactly how many more days this will go on for. But once again, this is for Capricorn starting May the 31st. Also, just so you guys know, a lot of readers will tell you this is for Capricorn or the cross watchers or Capricorn and cross watchers. This is not from when I do videos and I am looking at cards for a particular sign. I am not looking at the perspective of that sign and the cross watchers. What I'm looking at is the perspective of whatever that sign is. So this video talks about Capricorns and Capricorn experiences. If you are a cross watcher, this is not talking about your experience with a Capricorn. You may be mentioned in this reading, you may not necessarily. So don't try to make this your reading when it's not. This reading is just meant to give Capricorn some insight into what's going on. And if you happen to care about a Capricorn and you want to cross-watch, then this will give you insight into what your Capricorn is dealing with or going through. Okay? So, last thing I need to say is I do offer readings. I offer either 1-question or 2-question readings. Those are pre-recorded. Those are at a cost of $30 for 1 question or $53 for 2. And then I also offer live readings, which happen on the phone or on Skype. Those are 30 minutes for $100, 45 minutes for $150, or 60 minutes for $200. No, I am not the cheapest reader around. Why not? Because I'm good, and I know I'm good. All right. And because the information that you guys are getting generally has to do with some pretty big decisions that will impact your life in a big way. So it's worth it. It's worth making sure you're talking to somebody who can really help you. All right, so there we go. First card flipped out for you, Capricorn. Let's start taking a peek and putting them down. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. You know, you've got to have a lot of confidence when you ask for that kind of money for a reading. You got to know that you know what you know. All right, Capricorn, first thing we have coming up talks to me about your environment. What we have coming up is the Six of Scrolls in reverse. Let me back up a little bit. To talk about your environment, Capricorn, this is going to be some place that you have energy or effort invested. For most people, it will show up as home. For others, it'll show up as work or school, etc. So you want to be a little open-minded about that. So Capricorn, Six of Scrolls reverse, getting back to the card. This is just telling me that with your environment, it feels like things are going backwards. There were some improvements made in the environment where you were doing better, you were moving forward. Maybe even the environment itself was in a better situation than it was before, and now it seems to be falling backwards. So, you know, if you had a really great property manager and you happen to be renting your home and that property manager stayed on top of maintenance, maybe that property that you're renting was really doing great. It was doing everything that you needed it to do. And now maybe you have another property manager that, you know, they want to wait 2 or 3 weeks to get around to fixing something. So things could be going backwards, especially if you had that type of situation before. That's just one very tangible example. That doesn't have to be exactly what's happening to you, Capricorn, but it's just giving you an example of kind of the genre of things to look for. There's something going on in your environment where it's falling back into something that isn't as good as it has been lately. Okay. La da 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 da. Next card that we have coming up, Capricorn, talks to me about your subconscious leanings. What you have showing up here is the 10 of Stones. Subconscious leanings. This is a very different depiction for the 10 of Stones than what you would normally see. Normally a 10 of Stones is going to be something that has a whole family and a house and all of that around it. Here you see somebody, she almost looks like a hoarder, and she's got crystals are the things that are her treasures. kind of an interesting depiction. I kind of think I like it. I think I see it as sort of a fun thing, even though it's very different. But with the Ten of Stones, what we have here is that I think your subconscious leaning, especially in this deck, your subconscious leanings have to do with the idea of finding a spiritual security. So when I say, Capricorns, that subconsciously you're working on how do I get to a place that feels spiritually secure, you're working on finding a place where you have philosophies and beliefs that are yours, that you know that you really believe, that they're not something that you believe just because everybody's always crammed these ideas down your throat in the past, but you want to be secure in your own spirituality, whatever form or shape that may take. And so your subconscious is really working on, okay, what is the real deal for my spirituality? What do I really think about things that are spiritual or esoteric? Okay, so that's what your subconscious is doing right now, Capricorn. No, you did not miss much. We're only on the second card. Alrighty, glad to have you here, Miss Ann. Next up, we do have a card that talks to me about two different things, your learning style and also your communication style. Now, these next two cards may or may not play out in their typical meaning. And so, well, all of my cards may or may not, but these especially. So those of you who read the tarot, when you see this card, just know that I may be throwing some really out there meanings at you whenever I'm interpreting this, because I'm interpreting it more based on the position that it has in the spread than what the card would typically say. Okay, so what we have for learning style and communication style for Capricorns, we do have the Ace of Stones. For learning style, right now, the things that you are learning and finding out about, researching, curious about, those things are things that make you very happy. And the things that you're finding out about actually are making you very joyful right now. So whatever it is that you're digging into, researching, finding out about, whether it's a person, whether it's a process, whether it's a thing or a group, whatever that is, I see that as making you very happy. Okay, at least as it pertains to this life cycle. So that's talking about learning, finding things out, researching. Next, we're going to be talking about your communication style. What I'm seeing for communication style when I look at this card is that you don't skimp on your communication. And also what I'm seeing is that you're very good about paying attention to the person who you are talking to. And as you're paying attention to that person, you're very much able to customize the message to a format that is more easily digestible and easily understandable to them. Now, what I'm not saying, I want to be really clear, Capricorn, what I'm not saying here is that you tell some people some things and you tell other people other things, and so you kind of lie or twist the truth. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is much more, takes much more wit than that. And that is being very much aware of where other people are mentally and emotionally, and being able to present to them thoughts and ideas in ways that they can understand them at their level. Okay. And it looks like you are dealing with a lot of different people that are at a lot of different levels. All right. So that's for Capricorn for learning and communication style. Next thing we're looking at, dear Capricorns, is work, 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 work. The card that came up for you when it comes to work is the Sun. This is a really good card to come up for work. Now, first of all, let me back up a little bit. You guys need to know, if you don't already, that for work, I see that two ways. I see it as what we do to be productive in the community or make a living. And then I also see work as what we do to improve our own character, to make ourselves happier with us. So as far as outside work, work that you get paid for, that makes you feel like you're making a difference in the community, I think there's a lot of happiness going on here. And I think there's a lot of truth coming to light and work. Okay. And I think that knowing that truth is making you happy. Now, don't misunderstand me. This truth may not necessarily be good stuff per se that you're finding out about work and your work situation, but regardless, even if it's not good, which it might be good for some of you, it will be, but regardless, just knowing the truth is bringing you some relief and making you happy. because now you know how you can plan moving forward whenever it comes to work. So definitely there's a lot of truth being revealed with the sun showing up on work. Now, as far as inner work, you guys are being really truthful with yourselves, Capricorn, about some of the people that you're dealing with in your life. It's interesting because I'm getting the story both ways, Capricorns. I think that some of you have had people in your lives that you pretty much thought walked on water, that really you had them up on a much higher pedestal than what they had earned. And you're starting to face the truth about their true colors. That's the best way to say that. You're starting to see them for who they really are. And you're starting to see what their real motivations are. Now, on the flip side of that, Capricorn, for a lot of you, I think both situations are going to be happening. For a lot of you, you're going to be realizing that there's somebody that's been in your life for a long time that you didn't really take seriously, that has always sort of been there for you, even though you never really thought of them in any kind of serious or stable friend or relationship. Okay. And so there's going to be some truth facing there as far as you are going to be. This is personal. This is you looking at the truth about the relationships that are surrounding you and sorting through what's the real deal and what has been my perception all along. And with this card coming up for inner work, as you know, the truth really coming out, you're really looking at the truth for inner work. This is talking about that there were some illusions that you were holding on to, especially if you had somebody on a pedestal, or especially if you had a family member on a pedestal of, well, this person is always looking out for me. This person always has my best interest in heart. This person might do some stupid things, but it's not with bad intentions. Things like that. I think that if that's the case and this person is kind of showing that maybe they don't always have your best interest at heart, I think you're going to be taking a good hard look at that. At when do they have my best interest at heart and when do they not? When is it good for me to pay attention to this person and when is it better for me to think things through for myself? Okay? But there's a lot of you also that have people in your lives that have been solid and steady for you that you never have really taken seriously. And I think that's going to be kind of coming up in your face, if it hasn't already, where you're starting to realize, wow, this person has been a good friend to me, even though I never really thought of them as being that good of a friend. And a good friend over time, over the years, not just that they do one thing, but this is over time. Okay. So some real truth facing about the reality of the people in your life and what they're actually really like. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Next thing that I want to look at talks to me about that part of your personality that's being grown or expanded right here. This really ties in really, really, really well with that inner work, with facing the truth about some people in your lives. When you've got the moon card in reverse, this is also a card that talks about the truth coming out. Okay, so the sun card talked about the truth coming out. This moon card also is talking about the truth coming out. Things that were illusions, things that were hidden before, these are going to be coming out. And you are going to be, where you're growing and expanding, is learning how to deal with these things as they come out. How do I handle this as this truth comes out that is not at all what I thought the truth was? So your coping mechanism is what's being grown and expanded as you go through this particular life cycle. Next. Let's look at something that you stand for. And by the way, everything that I'm talking about so far should be present tense for most of you. Okay, so things that you stand for, Capricorn. Knight of Stones in reverse. In this deck, he's called the Illusionist. What did we just talk about? All this truth coming out. And with the moon does imply that there was illusion before, that people were not trying to give you the truest truth. Okay, it's interesting how this card comes up in reverse. This is normally, however it comes in, I say this is what you're standing for, but I'm really getting a strong impression that in this case, this is what you are not standing for, not putting up with. Okay, so I think when you're recognizing some people who are illusionists in your life, you're not putting up with that anymore. You're not standing for that. You're not taking it anymore. Okay, it's a strong, that's a strong, that's a strong thing. And I think it's going to be showing up very strongly in your life too, energetically. Okay, how other people see you. They see you who is somebody who takes fiery action. It's interesting because this is how the person that you are not putting up with anymore, or persons for a lot of you, you're not putting up with their illusions anymore. They're seeing you as somebody who takes fiery action. They're seeing the sword and they're seeing you're willing to use it. You're willing to cut out what's not necessary. You're very aware of the patch on your eye. You're very aware that you have not been seeing things clearly for a while, and that by not seeing things clearly for a while, it has put you in a position that you would not have chosen for yourself. Let's say that. A less than ideal position because you've been trying to help these people who you thought were really solid and stable for you and were not. And you ended up falling and smacking your face on the concrete because you helped them, but then they couldn't be there for you or they wouldn't be there for you. Okay, so you've got an injury here. And they're realizing that, maybe I went a little too far. Maybe by doing this or doing that, I brought too much trouble for Capricorn. And now Capricorn's got the sword out. The sword, there's a scabbard right here. No, I guess that's not. That's his telescope. But still, a person who has a sword has a scabbard. They have a sheath for that sword to stay in. The sword is out. So this illusionist that you're not putting up with anymore, or these illusionists, they're recognizing that you mean business, that you're about to cut them out, or that you have cut them out. They're taking this very seriously. Okay? So for most of you, all of that stuff will be present tense. For some of you, some of the rest of this will be present tense. And for others of you, some of the rest will be coming up in the future. So you'll kind of recognize as we go through. Lesson or experience for this particular life cycle for you Capricorns. You're finding your strength. You're coming into a much stronger position when you get rid of the people who are bringing illusions into your life. When you quit letting them bring those illusions into the plate and put them on the plate, then you start finding your own strength. You know, there's that old saying, the truth shall make you free. The truth really does make you free. The truth makes you stronger. Facing that truth is helping you come into a good, strong, much more empowered, much more confident place than what you have been for a while, Capricorn. Now, as you are coming into that place, there are some things going on. First of all, Page of Stones shows up. This tells me that you're getting some good news about money, finances, or material things. Okay, so as you're getting your strength, you're getting your confidence. You may get your confidence enough, Capricorn, up, Capricorn, that you go in and you ask for a raise. You say, look, I deserve a raise. This is why. Here's bullet points. Da, 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 da. So obviously I deserve a raise. The only thing that you guys have to figure out is how much of a raise are you giving me? Or maybe you're telling them how much you deserve. Either way, I think you get some good news financially. Now you may or may not, all of you are going to be going into the boss because of this confidence. But this confidence is going to affect something about some money coming to you. It is going to help bring that to you. Okay? The other thing that's going on at the same time is you do have the Ace of Spirals in reverse. Ace of Spirals in reverse tells me it's actually a very touching card because it tells me that even though you cut out the illusionist and their illusions from your life, this is having an emotional impact on you. You were used to having this person or these people creating these illusions. You were used to having them in your life. You thought they were really good friends. And you miss what you thought you had. This is a card that talks about feeling lackadaisical, not feeling energy, not feeling the gumption to get up and move. Okay? So this is a temporary, by the way, this is a temporary thing. Just like getting news about money, that's a temporary thing. One day you get news about money, but you don't get news about money, good news about money like every day, every day, every day, every day, continuously. Not most of us do anyway. So that also is a temporary thing. And this feeling low is also very much a temporary thing. And in fact, I have my very last card here verifies that. Hey, Tammy Bambi. Glad to see you in the room, honey bunny. Okay, so last card. This is the ultimate fulfillment of this life cycle, and it will kick off the next life cycle, is the Three of Scrolls in reverse. Three of Scrolls in reverse talks to me about a broken heart that is being healed up. Okay. Considering what we've had in this spread so far, for those of you that this spread has applied to, I would say this is not talking about physically a broken heart healing up. This is talking about emotionally, because the spread has really been all about facing the truth and dealing with how other people actually are, what their real personalities are like. And that was, in some cases, heartbreaking. Okay. And this is you finding some healing for that broken heart. Now, healing for a broken heart can happen in a lot of ways. It can be that you find a new support system or new friends. It can be that you just make peace with the situation and allow yourself to forgive and let go of things. It could be that there's communication between you and whoever the illusionist was, that that person says something that is very healing for you. Kind of triggers some kind of healing. This can happen in a lot of different ways, and it's going to be different for every one of you Capricorns. But definitely coming in is healing for the heart, bottom line. Okay, so if you guys would like to know more, or like to know more specifically, or like to know answers to some of these questions, you know, with your names of your people in your life, just remember I do offer live readings, and all of my contact information is on my website, and my website is in the description box below. So www.amista.info, I-N-F-O. I would be happy to read for you and look at this situation, or if you have other situations that you have questions about, I would be happy to look at those too. All you have to do is get a hold of me. Best way to do that is by phone or by text, or if you're overseas, by Skype. And we will get you scheduled for a reading and get you taken care of quickly. Okay. All right. So that wraps it up for Capricorns. Everybody have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. Thank you, Anne.